debacle of medical necessity per these billion-dollar insurance companies, because they decide they're not going to pay. They know better my body, they think. With you can have medication, and then you can also have these other things that work, like extra supplements, magnesiums and stuff like that. I agree with you. I am not a opponent of medication. I think, though, we tend to actually make our mindset, I need this to feel better, rather than saying this is going to get me over a hump to where I don't need it. There are long-term ones that obviously I have high cholesterol genetically. I'm thin, I'm not overweight. It's everyone in my family. I've tried omega-3s, didn't do anything. I have to have a statin. So agree. There are just times when you need to have this medication. Mental health wise, I think definitely therapy and medication and life coaching, that in the order, medication, therapy, life coaching, I think in conjunction together, we learn those coping skills. And as you said, holistic is a lifestyle. And I love that you view that way. And why can't we integrate all three of them? My background is in medical billing. So when it comes to insurance, I will just hop right on a soapbox, but you're right. The doctors, that was my job, was to go train the doctors and their staff on how to code with the diagnostic codes, and what covers and what doesn't cover, what they can order and what they can't order. And it was I got such burnout, and I felt so bad for these doctors, because it became us dictating what they could do rather than them being able to say, this is what's best for my patient, and I should know better. I went to medical school, and this is what has worked for them. And this whole debacle of medical necessity per these billion-dollar insurance companies, because they decide they're not going to pay. They know better my body, they think, than I know my body, and what's necessary is frustrating. And so you and I are right there together on that one.
Absolutely.
And it's one of the reasons why, like, my therapy, my life coaching is not covered by insurance, is because they cannot dictate it. And I'm happy about that. So good. You cannot dictate how I am personalizing the mental care that my patients need and my clients need. And it works 1,000,000%, but they want to come in with therapists and counselors, the licensing, they want to tell you how to do it. And I've had so many therapists and counselors on the podcast that say, I've gone to life coaching now because I don't have to worry about insurance. So thank you for your insight on that. And I completely respect it. That's why I ask it. I love everybody's different perspectives on this. So my gosh, we've covered so much. I want to know about your novel. What is CRISPR about?
CRISPR is spelled capital CRISPR''D. And that's a reference to CRISPR, CRISPR in caps, which is a new gene editing technique that many people have heard of, although some still haven't. It's interfering. It's like a cut and paste system for taking out bad genes and putting in good genes, essentially. Like with sickle cell anemia, there's a lot of research now to take out the part of the gene that's bad and replace it with a healthy gene so that people don't get this horrible disease, and other diseases that are just caused by a single gene, not a whole collection of genes, although that might be in the future. It's very powerful, raises a lot of ethical questions. Who decides what's a good gene and what's a bad gene? Do we all want to be like you, blonde and blue-eyed, or is there room for a variety? And, should we, with this new technique, are we going to, or trying to make everyone more intelligent or less intelligent? I mean, it could be bad in the wrong hands. It can also save countless lives. So it's one of these medical advances like DNA sequencing or whatever or the Manhattan Project for the atomic bomb. Science proceeds, and we have to make sure that we have some control so that it doesn't go down the bad path. And which gets into the question of who decides what's a good path and what's a bad path. Regular people get a seat at the table to decide what's good or bad. So my novel, provocative because I have an evil geneticist, not a good one, and he tampers with babies in his fertility clinic in a bad way. And this brilliant young female journalist at a paper, much like my Boston Globe, catches him and outs him and gets him in big trouble. So I think I should have said a spoiler alert, but anyway, it's a fun and educational. People who don't know about CRISPR, this is an easy way to learn about it, sort of without effort. So that was fun.
I love that. I love that. I love it. And I cannot remember the author who wrote a book called The One.